Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Anywhere with Kristen. My name's Kristen Herzog, and I am currently living in the village of Caccamo, Sicily, which is a medieval mountain village in the middle of nowhere. And the reason why I'm here is, number one, this is my ancestral town. This is where my great-grandparents came from before they immigrated to the United States. And number two, I am here pursuing my dual citizenship. Italy allows a certain citizenship status where you can keep your American passport, but you can also get an Italian passport, which opens up the doors to numerous benefits and privileges. So I've been living here for 3 months, but I decided to go home for 10 days to America to spend time with my husband, my son, my parents, and my family. I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure if it would feel like business as usual in the States and I would just kind of slide right back into that culture, that identity, that mindset, or if there were going to be things that hit different, simply because I've been living in a very different culture for an extended period of time. No, this has not been a vacation. This has been living and developing relationships and meeting family I never knew existed, all within this little mountain village of 8,000 people. So that's the setup. Now I want to tell you about what it was like for me to go home and also to return back to Caccamo to complete the dual citizenship process. I'm going to start with something that surprised me the most. And it's not a big thing, it's a little thing. It's kind of a stupid thing, but I'm still annoyed by it. Before I moved to Italy, I had my own coffee ritual. I loved a tall cafe Americano coffee with 2 teaspoons of sweet creamer, like a caramel macchiato or some other kind of creamer that was very sweet and gave it that little extra punch. So that's what I liked it for years, wasn't going to change it. Then I came to Sicily, and inside of my little Sicilian townhouse where I live, I don't have an American coffee maker. I have a maca pot that makes really strong espresso. Over the months, I kind of tried to adapt to it. It was too strong at first. I added water, I added milk, tried different things. Finally got it to tolerable. Okay, I was all excited to go home. Couldn't wait to have that first cup of American coffee that I loved so much. Got the coffee, put it up to my lips, drank it. It was disgusting. And I do mean like borderline revolting. I couldn't finish the cup. What the heck happened? I don't understand this. I'd only been gone, 90, 100 days, and my taste buds had some kind of revolution. It makes no sense. If anyone can tell me why that is, I would really appreciate it. And now I'm at home in the States for 10 days. I'm kind of trying to tweak the coffee, tried adding this, tried adding that, made it stronger, made it this, made it that. I couldn't get satisfied. So came back to Sicily, tried what I had had here, still okay. Better than what I had in the States, but I've lost my coffee mojo. So now I just drink tea. I don't know, guys. This is a first world problem, I know, but it's annoying. Other things I noticed. Living in the village of Caccamo during the holidays, there is definitely some holiday brouhaha, right? There's a tree in the middle of the center of town made of little lace doilies that the ladies of the town made. They stitched them together and made like this little tree in the front of the comune, or what is our city hall here in Caccamo. There's lights, there's people shopping for gifts, but tradition is not that big of a deal here, and that really surprised me. In my world, in America, people are borderline fanatical about tradition. They have to have cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning, or they have to do this kind of gift exchange every year, or there must be XYZ vegetable from great grandma's recipe. Tradition. Yes, that is what it is like Christmas in America. Here, in maybe the most traditional place I've ever been. This culture is over 1,000 years old. I mean, the Normans conquered Caccamo in 1100 AD. I have never lived anywhere that is more traditional and having more of a history than Caccamo. But when it came to Christmas, there wasn't the high-paced, anxious, stressful, nervous thing that I experience in the States. So one of the first things that hit me hard when I came home was that I had called a friend when I got back to the States, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" She goes, "I'm busy, but I'm stressed." I realized when she said that most people in the States answer in some form of that answer. "Oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I have so many things to do. Oh, I have to get this or that or the other thing." Here in Caccamo, when you would say, How are you doing? Are you excited for Christmas?" "Oh, see, family time, family time, family time." Totally different vibes. This brings me to something that I learned about something I'm battling with in my own mind. I went to a post-Christmas event. A wonderful neighbor of mine invited me to her extended family get-together for the Epiphany. It's on January 6th, and it's an additional feast day in the Christian calendar. All of this family got together. We're talking every generation. The meal was started at 1:30, and the evening ended at 8:30. And we ate food all day long. Homemade food, pizza prepared in a 1,000-year-old oven. I got to know all of the different family. Here in Sicily, it is not super popular for people to speak English, except for the Gen Z generation. They are just starting to learn English. So at this large family gathering, there are two people who speak conversational English. We were talking about the Gen Z generation going to college or university or nursing school and how that affects the fabric of the family. It was so interesting to hear somebody in their early 20s saying it's a catch-22 for the Italians, because on the one hand, the moms and dads want their kids to have a future, but they don't want them to have a future at the expense of the family unit being disconnected. The problem with this in Sicily, there are only a few universities and colleges on this island, which means that kids have to go to Rome, to Milan, to Florence to go to school. But what happens? We know this in the States. In the States, when your kid goes to college outside of your general geographic area, it changes the relationship. It changes the consistency of connection and getting together. I'm coming to grips with this in my own life right now as my husband and I are looking at our own future, which includes more travel. And we're going to be talking more about that in the very, very near future. The Gen Zs that I've talked to here are a very curious group. They travel more. They go north. They go throughout Italy. When you ask people in my age group or older, have you traveled off of the island? Have you been outside of Sicily or even out of Caccamo or Termini Imerese, which is the city, 30,000 people, I think, on the bottom of the mountain? The answer that sometimes I get, which I've never heard anyone say in America, is, "No, I don't know anything." Never heard anybody say that in America of any age group. "No, I haven't traveled. I don't know anything." There's something about that statement that's jarring for me, because I think that it speaks to a possible desire that may have been there to see the world, but there was just no opportunities. There was no resources to be able to travel. It was very expensive, and it still is expensive to travel, but not quite as much. I can fly to Rome round trip from Palermo, where it's the closest airport to where I live. I can do that for about $50 to $75 US. It is a hop, skip, and a jump, but there is an expense involved as well. I am wondering, what will the fabric of the family look like in 50 years here? I think it's slowly evolving. I've also learned some things about how the Sicilians view the Northern Italians. Quite a few kids that I've been meeting, they go to college in the North. They are seeing the economic disparities between Sicily, which has very, very little opportunity and employment is difficult to find. The prices are cheaper here, but the people are not working in jobs that are going to make them financially independent as much. So they're going north and they're seeing that their fellow countrymen are living a different lifestyle and they're living perhaps better with more opportunities, more expansion. And I asked yesterday, I asked this Gen Z kid about what is the difference between the North and Sicily. And he kind of laughed and he said, it's all in the water. And everyone laughed in the room. It's all in the water. What does he mean? It's all in the water. At first, I thought that he meant that almost like, you know, when you drink the Kool-Aid, we would say in the States. This is something that I kind of laughed along with them, but I really didn't understand its content. That was when we started talking about the bridge that hasn't happened. We started talking about how there is no bridge between Sicily and the mainland of Italy. If you want to take your car from Sicily to the mainland, you have to put it on a boat. You know, I said, well, why hasn't there been a bridge built? I don't understand this. Sicily is not that far from the mainland of Italy. And they said bureaucracy, crime, money that shows up and then it's gone. And this idea that there's almost like we're at the bottom of the totem pole, both literally and figuratively. That kind of made me sad. I think that as the world and as Italy as a whole becomes more global, I think it is changing. There's some things that are really well preserved here, at least for the time being, but other things are questionable for the future. I gotta turn on the heat. Ugh. My little heater. My house is really cold. Guys, you know, I have to say this. Speaking of heat, when I was in the United States and people would say, oh, we looked at the temperature in your town. Oh, wow, it's like 55 degrees. Boo-hoo, we've got snow on the ground. I'm like, it's a different kind of cold here that's really hard to explain. So this is January. I tend to be really cold, like bone cold. So don't be deceived if you look at the temperature, because that's not fair. It doesn't feel like 55, it feels like 30 in the house. It's really annoying. Other observations when I went home. I found myself smiling when I did my load of laundry. Let me tell you why. I have a teeny tiny washing machine like everybody I know here. It's the normal, very small washing machine. So about the equivalent of a half of a load in the States. I went to do my laundry and I threw everything in. I was like, oh yay, this is so great. And then I realized that I was laughing at the laundry, with glee. And then I was like, oh wow, that's gonna sound really weird if anyone's listening to me right now. Also, the dryer is a bonus. I love my dryer at home. My dryer is awesome. Italians here tend to use a lot more ceramic. When you go to the coffee shop, they're not going to give it to you in a little to-go cup unless you ask for it. And sometimes they don't even have it. You drink it standing up at the coffee bar and then you go do your day. But we have a lot more paper waste in the States, styrofoam, paper, to-go boxes. I was at a pizza place. I didn't eat the whole pizza because I'm getting fat. I just keep eating here because everything tastes great. I didn't want to finish the pizza, right? So I asked for a to-go box, a portare. They were like, you want to take it with you? Okay. Like they knew what it was. They had the box, but you could tell it wasn't the norm to ask for your food to take with you. It's interesting. Italians, you're paying for the food. I mean, what's the harm in taking it home? Even if you give it to the dog, you know? It's not terrible to take your food home. Don't be shy. Other things that I noticed. People in my part of the country and in my experience treat their animals like they are their children, dressing them up, let them sleep in their bed. I am guilty of it also. My little dog Pepper does sleep in my bed, so I am guilty. Don't think I'm judging. We have a culture of treating our animals like they are people. Italy does not have this. So there's this little black dog. He keeps showing up at my house. I made the grave mistake of feeding him one day because he looked absolutely hungry. And now he knows I'm here and he keeps visiting me. So the first day this happened, immediately I went to my American mindset. I'm like, oh my God, this owner must be losing their ever-loving mind right now because their dog is missing. They don't know where the dog is. The dog might get hit by a car or fall off the mountain because I live on a mountainside. I went to all the neighbors. Knock, knock, knock. Can you help me? Can you help me, por favor? This dog, this little innocent dog. Oh. And everybody's like, well, just let it go and it'll find its way home. Just let it go. It's all good. Okay. Americans love their seatbelts. They love their seatbelts. If you're not wearing a seatbelt as soon as you get in a car, my 17-year-old kid will not put the car out of park unless he hears the click of my seatbelt. I think we have been conditioned to put on the seatbelt automatically. It's not even something we think about. Well, in Sicily, not only do people not wear their seatbelt unless they see a police officer, but they will also buy extenders that they put behind their back, and the extender will keep it so that the seatbelt is behind them. When they sit back, they don't feel the seatbelt. I've also had 2 situations where people have been offended when I put on the seatbelt because they feel like I am saying that they're a lousy driver or that I don't trust their driving. So I kind of got out of the habit of automatically clicking the seatbelt really loud or announcing to the driver, oh, my seatbelt is on now, because I know people can be offended by that. So I stopped doing that. But when I went back to the States, I kind of was like cautiously putting on my seatbelt, like afraid the driver would notice. I realized how crazy that was. I was worried that the driver in America would be potentially offended that I'm putting on a seatbelt. So I'm going to end this video with one topic that I've never heard anybody really talk about, but it's something that hit me that is bigger than if I like coffee or not. And that is the idea of fear of independence. Americans historically are fiercely independent. You know, we feel like we've conquered the world historically, and we like to believe that we go forth and we venture forth and, you know, have these independent lives. But there's some kind of disconnect when it comes to traveling overseas. What I would say is fear of things being done differently than what we know. And this was very evident to me when I went home for the holidays. People perceive my experience that I should be very worried or very fearful of living in a foreign country or figuring out the language or the money or this or that. And you know what, guys? I'm too old to be afraid. I get one pass through this life. In 20 years, I won't have these opportunities, more than likely. I want to make the most of it. And not everyone has to understand my motivation, my experience. I'd like to believe people will understand it through this YouTube channel, but that's okay if they don't, because this is my shot. And I'm excited for 2025, getting my dual citizenship. It's hopefully right around the corner. Watching my son get grandfathered into his dual citizenship as a minor. This dual citizenship is a really big deal because it's going to open up more doors and more opportunities for my immediate family. And I will be sharing along the way, and I hope you'll continue to join me. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care. You may not put that in.